I think you absolutely need to get it right for the children, but hand in glove, it's an egg, chicken, egg thing, isn't it? Because if we're not also doing it right with staff, they're not going to be in the optimum position to help the
That's
children.
right.
We know the key
I
person approach is really crucial in EYFS for supporting the children and the parents. So obviously it's one of those kind of situations, isn't it? And I think they're equally important, really.
seemingly in the UK, we have more people not at work than most other countries. And it's because of our poor mental health, generally around depression and stress. So I thought I wasn't surprised by the depression and stress, but I was surprised about that we're one of the worst countries, that we have a really poor sickness rate in comparison to other countries. Sometimes situations at home get on top of people and they don't work to their full potential.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be dangerous in certain circumstances. And being brave enough to, we're talking about putting the child first, being brave enough to perhaps speak up, particularly if it's not listened to.
Mm-hmm.
But if to speak up, to not be one of the clan, as it were, as a team member, and stand up for children, I think can be quite difficult in an environment where well-being is not seen as being a priority.
There's lots of things there, isn't there, really? I mean, if we only look at the child protection issues in terms of domestic violence, and obviously you talked about the mental health issues as well, we know that those are two of the three trio vulnerabilities in terms of safeguarding, and staff are just as vulnerable as the families and children. So if they are bringing things to work, hopefully, I mean, you can't always leave it at the door, can you? What's going on is what's going on, and it's going to affect your work if they don't have that open door policy and that wellness policy, and then put it into practice as well. I mean, obviously we can all have paperwork that's beautifully laid out, but if we're not actually putting that into practice and staff don't feel supported, or we know that also in terms of early years, of the early years ratios, and obviously the recruitment crisis that we've had as well, and getting good staff and obviously maintaining them is huge, and everybody's putting that extra effort in, maybe doing more shifts than they used to do, or longer days to cover
longer hours
and things, and obviously that takes its toll at the end of the day, doesn't it, as well? You can only do it for so long, can't you? And then suddenly you're burning candle at the both ends, and then your wellness goes downhill as well. So there's a lot there, isn't there? And obviously we can't support other children adequately if we're not. I often talk when I'm doing kind of PowerPoints, I usually show the kind of the empty cup thing, pouring the water and watering the children if there were plants. But obviously you can't water them from your watering can if you've not got the well-being yourself, and if you're not looking after yourself as well. Such a big issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. And it's when you're a business owner, it's very difficult when you don't have enough staff, when you can't provide the service, and when you need, every child to be in attendance, or you need, all your places filled so you actually can make enough money. And it can be really quite tough, I think, for the owner of a group as well. And they, as an owner, you can't necessarily tell all your staff about your problems either. So, as an owner, it can be very lonely. And again, that's can be a bit of a struggle as well. And sometimes maybe not really appreciated by staff. I'm just sticking up for the owners here.
I think a lot of it goes on with the management. Obviously, somebody does the supervisions, hopefully on staff. But if you were a counsellor, every so many hours that you take on everybody else's problems and issues, you have to have a supervision and a wellness session yourself. And a lot of the time, the managers of preschools and nurseries and the owners don't have that person to hold them, but then they're trying to hold the team. So that's the extra pressures then, isn't it, on that person that's the provider or the...
reason not to do that is that I don't have time. You know, because we work in very time pressured environments, I think. Okay, well, open communication, I think, is the best way forward for well-being. I don't think it's enough personally to put a nice basket of goodies in the toilets. I think it's about ensuring that everybody is valued and can say their piece without feeling condemned for it. That would be my and hopefully I did that when I ran my nurseries.
When you were saying earlier about being taken for granted almost, I mean, I obviously work with a lot of nurseries and go do the mock inspections and things, and sometimes I feel that staff sometimes do maybe take for granted the conditions that they have got, and some nurseries are offering staff maybe some of the nursery food at lunchtime. The one that I was in last week, they provide breakfast as soon as staff get there. If they haven't already had their breakfast, the staff can have the nursery food at lunchtime. They get uniforms, they get this and that and the other. They get all the training they do. They either get time back or the nursery shuts on a Friday afternoon, and I often go in on Friday afternoons to do training so that they're not expected to take time out from their own personal lives. And there's so much that goes on, but then when I ask them, pretending that I'm an inspector doing the inspection, how do you feel that management support you? They just talk about the supervisions every 6 weeks. They don't really kind of give me all the stuff that I do know is happening. So maybe some staff take that for granted if they do have those perks as well.
Yeah, we certainly gave lunch for every member of staff. Often I think staff feel the grass is greener on the other side, and you know, a little while later they're asking to come back. You hear that a lot too, don't you?
Because I spoke at a wellbeing conference for a small group of settings in Yorkshire. Actually, they're not all in Yorkshire now, but I did about an hour's worth of wellbeing stuff maybe June time last year, and some of them said actually there were some staff that are coming back because they thought the grass was greener on the other side. They might have left for another 5p or 10p an hour or something, but when they actually took stock of what was going on, they realised with the wellbeing packages and all the things that they did get that actually they shouldn't have moved in the first instance.